This week we learned about Kibbutz Avroim and the union of Einam and Mitzvah V'Oiseh, someone who's not obligated and still want to do the mitzvah. And the most common is about women that are not obligated to do some mitzvahs and they still do. What schar do they have? They are allowed to do the say the bracha. But before we get to that, I want to start with something that's really appropriate here. It's actually the Kibbutz Shulchan Aruch. The Kibbutz Shulchan Aruch saying that the greatest way to honor our parents, to mechabed your parents, is to go ahead and be busy with learning Torah and steigering and doing ma'asim mitzvahs and ma'asim tovim. This is the greatest honor to a parent that people say, oh, this is the father of this person. So it's really appropriate that we're sitting here together and in honor of the family of Rabbi Yaakov Berger, the Nishma, his parents. So it's very appropriate that we learn and we're doing Kibbutz Avroim by learning Torah for their tzchus. So before we go to the halachas of Mitzvah V'Oiseh, Einam Mitzvah V'Oiseh, the way the Gemara discussed that topic is with a story. And it's very strange. Just from the story that the Gemara picked, we can understand something about the mitzvah. Because there's a few questions about the story. And that's the way the Gemara want to tell you a message. The Gemara uses the story. Why is that? First of all, because story we like to, it's interesting, you want to hear. And also there's very little small nuances in the story that we can learn also from that. So, it's what Rabbi, what's his name? One of the greatest speakers, Reisman, right, thank you. Reisman once says about the Mishnah in Avos, Kol shemaisov merumi chochmasai, chochmasai mitkayemes. That means, the pshat means that someone, his actions, maisim, are better than his Torah. People will follow and his chochmah will continue. But he said as a joke that a person that want to say Torah, if you tell maisim, you tell stories, it's people will pay attention and will listen and will get the message. So that's how the Gemara really tells us the stories about Dam and Netina. But there's something really challenging in that story. First of all, if you look at the Gemara, there's 2 times the same story. To me, it looked like the same story. Some say it's different stories. But the story about Dam and Netina was well known as a person who was mechabed his parents. And the first 2 stories, one is with Ula and the other one with Blazer, look exactly the same. So, this is one question. And besides that, there's many Yidden that actually did a great Kibbutz Avroim. And why did the Gemara kind of pick someone who's not Jewish intentionally and bringing it as a raya, as a proof, as a kal v'chomer to do the mitzvah? So there's a tzitz that speaks about it. We'll get to it in a second. But I want to suggest there's 2 parts of that, and it's also mashma in Rashi and the Avodah Zarah that there's 2 parts that the Gemara wanted to teach us. The first part is the chiyuv. The kal v'chomer, the first part is the chiyuv. And the second part, the second time the Gemara is saying the same story, it's about the rewards. If someone who's not mechuyev v'oiseh, he got the rewards that he never loses. He didn't lose anything what he was supposed to gain from honoring his father. He made it a different deal. So, alachat kama v'chama, kal v'chomer, a yid that is mechuyev, and he's doing the mitzvah, his rewards will be many times better than that. So this is a great idea. It's a good thing to know that you don't lose from doing a mitzvah. So a quick story that I've heard yesterday about I don't know if you heard the name, but there's a great mall in New Jersey called American Dream. And the CEO of the American Dream shared a story that he had to turn out an advertisement for Netflix. I don't know if you heard of this, but he had to turn away a $24,000 advertisement in his mall because he realized that a picture that they want to post over there is not so appropriate. So he said, for Hashem, I'm not going to take it. Many Yidden are going to go up there and I don't want them to see it. And you know, the chief of finances, people were sitting there and they're like, how do you do that? Like, you can't afford $24,000 just like this, and the picture is not so bad. And like, what are you doing? And he says, I know that Hashem, every time when I give tzedakah, it comes 10 times back. And if I do one thing for Hashem, for tznius, I believe that kedusha is 20 times more. After a few minutes, everyone was like shocked, like it's a nice money, like how do you? And less than 30 minutes later, he got a phone call from a great big company. They wanted to treat all the families and the workers, and they wanted to give them tickets to the American Dream. And he showed the check. If you can do the math, 20 times $24,000 is $480,000 check that he got 30 minutes later. So there's a lot of stories that we could share and say that he never misses anything from doing a mitzvah. So what is the rewards that he got? So the Ksai answers that it's very appropriate that he got the Torah Aduma. And if we ask, one of the reasons we don't say bracha, some of the Rishonim explains, is because you don't know what is the attention of someone when he's doing the mitzvah. So when a Goy did a mitzvah, when a non-Jew did that mitzvah, the Ksai explains that he did it because it makes sense. The Father did so much to you, and it's appropriate. It's really the way to go. You're like, yes, you don't wake up your father, you don't do something that could hurt him, because it makes sense. But on the other hand, so yes, he's losing 600,000 gold coins. But on the other hand, the story that brought right after that is when the Yidden, the Knesset Agdala was willing to put exact same amount for a mitzvah of Korah Aduma. It's showing that Am Yisrael was willing to put the same amount of money for something that doesn't make sense. The mitzvah that least makes sense in the whole Torah is the mitzvah of Korah Aduma. So that's why it's very appropriate to bring that to show, not to show that is person that was not Jewish is like chunin. You can give compliments to someone if you don't need to. But the answer is to actually show that Am Yisrael was willing to put so much, and the mitzvah that doesn't make any sense, that which is mitzvah of Korah Aduma. So now we can see a little bit about the story of Rabbi Yossi. So Rabbi Yossi was saying he was blind. Unfortunately, explain how to become blind. Okay, it's a different story. Stories is the main part today. And just in a few words, he made himself blind because he wanted to be watching, guarding his eyes. But he wanted to make a suda. So the Gemara is saying like this. אומר רבי יוסף, מריש, הווה מן אמן דהווה אומר ילכו כרב יהודה, ואומר סומפותו מן המצווס, אבי נהיה טוב לרבונו. whoever going to tell me that I'm a blind person and I'm potter from all the mitzvahs, I will make a suda. Why? Because someone voluntarily doing the mitzvah, he assumed that he's greater than someone who's obligated. Right? Because he's doing extra of what he's... So it makes sense, yeah, that's... And then he heard what Rabbi Hanina is saying, Dr. Gemara says on, that Ashko Shmiel Rabbi Hanina Kollel Mitzvah V'Oiseh Rabbi Shemem Mitzvah V'Oiseh Adarab. Man lo yedeh lo ki Rabbi Yehuda Abin Yem Tova LeRabbanan. So now he realized, and that's the lashon of the Gemara, that someone who's mitzvah v'oiseh is greater than someone who's not mitzvah v'oiseh. But it still has some value to someone who does it with not mitzvah v'oiseh. What does it really mean? So we cut a little bit short with time, so we'll skip one step. What is really the chiyuv of a person that is not mitzvah v'oiseh? Is he really mechuyav? He has reward for that. He could say the bracha. So there's certain raya here that Tosfos uses, which will become the source for some of the poskim that saying that you're allowed to say bracha even if you're not mitzvah voice. The main problem with that, like the Rambam says, is if you're not mechuyev to say the bracha, the Rambam holds that it's leisis Hashem, it's the Raisa. You can't say bracha if you're not mechuyev to say the bracha. And on top of it, even the lashon of the word Asher Kiddishanu, the Rishonim asks that you can't say Asher Kiddishanu, it's funny if you're not obligated to do the mitzvah. So it's a big shaila. How do we look at it? How do we? Is he mechuyev? Is he have zchus, or what zchus does he have? So Tosfos here proves from Rabbi Yossi, Rabbeinu Tam, that Nashim has to say bracha. Look, Tosfos, the Nashim mevachot al mitzvot aseh shazman grama af al gav shebtuos legamri. They afilu miderabbanan mechayv. They have no chiyuv, not miderabbanan, and they still say bracha. How do I know that? Because if Rabbi Yossi had an avamina that is chaya, that he's greater than someone who's mechuyav, obviously he had to say the bracha. Because if you don't say the bracha, your mitzvah is a little bit less than someone who was actually saying the bracha. So it's clear from Tosfos that you see from Rabbi Yossi that it's mechuyav to say bracha. You're allowed to say the bracha even if it's not mechuyav in the mitzvah. And there's no problem of this Shem Hashab. But if you look at the poskim, the Rambam specifically, and you see also in the Shulchan Aruch, in many places, you see that we see that Misha Einoi so they can't say the bracha. Shulchan Aruch says, if they're not yotzei, you can't say the bracha. And if the Rambam itself, also paskin ilchos tzitzis, that if the Isha wanted to do the mitzvah that ain't mechuyev, she still cannot say the bracha. So what is the machlokes? How do they learn? And if you see, there's also other shit. The Ravid right away saying, and they're in the Asagas Ravid, that we have to separate. It's not so easy to say that I'm mechuyev. And it brings down the Tosfos Raya that that you see that even if it was not mechuyev, you could still say bracha. And the same as the Ramah, Zok the Ramah Hagah, והמינהג שנושא מבוכת בקבוצה של זמן גרום. על כן גם כאן בטבח ולעצמם. So, okay, you're running out of time. So let's wrap it. So the Ritva speaks out, the Machlekes Tzrin Rabbeinu Tam, what are the tzadim, what are the ways to see if Eina Mechuyav is allowed to say the bracha or not? So the raya from Rabbi Yossi it's not fully proving anything. Why? Because when a blind person wants to say bracha, when a basic wants to say bracha, you can't say that he's not chayav in anything. You can't say that Rabbanan, that he was patur from everything. But in Isha, it's possible to say that you can't prove from Summa that he's a completely Yid, and you might say that it's Mechayiv and Rabbanan, and therefore you're allowed to say the bracha. But if you look at it in Isha, it doesn't prove anything to Isha, so therefore you cannot say, she cannot say the bracha, and that's why some of the poskim can say that Isha could not say bracha if she in a mitzvah voice. So I want to end off because we just ran out of time. So I want to end off with Kiva Eger that saying, I want to say the Balchan summarized the idea. So yesh lecha dvarim b'shem hachizkun. There's certain things that mekabel schar, and you can do it and get rewards, but if you don't do it, you can get punished. The mitzvah slice said that Isha is chayav. It's showing you that there are mechuyev in the entire mitzvahs, but if you don't do something, they're not going to get punished. So that therefore they can step up and mekabel and mamshich the chiyuv on themselves, and therefore they will still be counted asher kedushanim mitzvahs b'tzivanum, because there are mechuyev in the mitzvahs, but they're not gonna be in the category, and if they're not doing it, the over on bitul of the chiyuv aseh, because not mechuyev. Be'ezer Hashem, we should all zeicher to do what we obligated and learn and do keep without me.